We don't need somebody to tell us what we're gonna do tonight in Las Vegas. I don't care. Tonight we're gonna spend. We don't need somebody to tell us what we're gonna do tonight in Las Vegas. I don't care. I'm gonna be a billionaire. I wanna party in Las Vegas night and day. Put your hands up for love. We don't wanna sleep tonight. Not tonight, not tonight.
Money that I take us to Las Vegas. Listen, I arrive and put the key in the ignition. Listen, all I see is just Morena in my vision, feeling like I was in jail and it's my first day out of prison. Aye, let's go casino, wear your dress, I'll wear tuxedo. Turn this water into vino, stack them chips up by the kilo. We make dough like Al Pacino. They all say hola amigo, but don't